Well, hello, and welcome back to my reviews of Tai Lopez's 67 Steps. This is step number 62, the $20 billion gift from strangers. I don't remember that in the episode, actually. And building forgiveness into the land. Building systems that persist. We have this thing, one of the many biases that Tai talks about. I think then Charlie Munger talks about quite a bit. One of those biases is the contrast bias. And that is, you can be making $1 million a year, but if all of a sudden you're only making $100,000 a year, you're going to kind of freak out. Even though $100,000 you should be able to live, it's that contrast is very difficult to handle. We have that in the body as well, like when you gain weight and lose weight and gain weight, you really feel it and kind of you amplify it sometimes, And so one of the ways to get away from that, of course, is to not have the change. And to do that, you need to have some measure of security, And, there's no 100% guarantees in life. You could be an alcoholic and stop drinking and go back to drinking. That happens fairly common. So you should be a little aware of that, Sorry, I want to go back. It's not fairly common, but it happens. So you should be aware of these things, that you can slide. And so the way you stop sliding is to have some kind of cushion, some kind of security. The title of this thing, the $20 billion gift from strangers, the thing he's talking about is that, Warren Buffett, in his Berkshire Hathaway company, keeps a lot of cash in the bank. I'm sure it's not literally cash in the bank, but, they have a lot of cash in the bank. And the reason Buffett does that, he says, is because he doesn't want to have to ever rely on the kindness of strangers. Now, $20 billion is a lot of kindness from strangers, but he does that so that they have a lot of safety, a high measure of safety. It's not tied up. They don't need to sell something if they need money for whatever reason, usually to buy something else. So that's building a system with a margin of safety. And, or as Tai says, as Joel Salatin said, building forgiveness into the land. When you're a farmer, you can't always be sure it's going to rain, so you build a pond, right, to hold the water. And that's interesting as well. I mean, that's kind of this Lao Tzu thing of doing things that are difficult when it's easy, because when it's raining, you can capture the water. And then when it's dry, you have the water. So when it was, I think if you can figure that out yourself. But, you have to remember that you don't get rich by saving your money. So, you should have 3 to 6 months of your living expenses saved in the bank in case shit happens. But, you make money by investing, but, you really should have that safety net. Safety nets are really important. And, your health is the same kind of thing. If you can't get to exercising for whatever reason because you're sick or these kinds of things for a little bit of time, your body shouldn't fall apart. You should be in good enough shape to withstand that period of no exercise or bad eating when you go on a cruise or whatever it is. So, and you can do this in other areas. In happiness, you can have a gratitude journal. And a gratitude journal kind of embeds the good things that are happening in your life into your mind, and in theory kind of builds up a bank of happiness, though that I'm not so sure about. So this is your personal goodwill bank account, if you want to call it that. And you can also share this thing out. Tai gives this example of how in the time before refrigerators, long time before refrigerators, when the food was often shared, because if you kept it, it wouldn't be any good. So you would share it out, And so you don't need to go about finding 1 million friends. Or, trying to find a new friend every day or something like that I've heard recently. You can just double down, as Tai says, on the friends that you already have. give more to them, help them more, do whatever you can for those people more. And that's a strong investment in your future as well. But it also gives them a good feeling, And one of Ty's example is, if you get divorced, will you lose all your friends? Are there your friends, your spouse's friends? So it's investing your time in your friends and your family, really. And Ty also talks about building up kind of a happiness bank of going to comedy clubs and things like that. That I think is a slightly different thing. My personal opinion is that's a slightly different thing. That's more of a relief time, like you go to a comedy club and you feel good for that period of time, and that alleviates kind of a stress of impending downness. I don't think that you can always, he says, you can think back on the good times. I don't think that works for people who are depressed or clinically depressed. Thinking back on happy times is actually a negative feeling, right? So, but, we're going to cover this one. Well, we've covered it already and a couple of other ones, and we'll cover it again, but, you're not getting any younger. Right now is as young as you're ever going to be, again. So, start today in doing these things. Build up your fitness. That's kind of like building forgiveness into your body. And now Ty starts out by saying, somebody came to him and he said they're 60 and what are they going to do? And then Ty went off on this tangent about how young people can build a muscle. Well, that's exactly the point. My feeling is, and this, I know it's a negative thing and I shouldn't say it in these, but if you're old, you're screwed. And I'm old. If you haven't saved by the time you reach 50, you don't have enough time, unless you're making a lot of money, and then, that's not so much of an issue. But if you're starting to save and starting to do physical fitness when you're over 50, you're in a tough spot. So good luck to you. And, I'm in that boat, that age. It's not easy to overcome a lifetime of not saving or overcome a lifetime of not building a safety net. Very difficult. Anyway, let's be more positive. Shall we? And let's thank goodness for the young people. That's all I can say. So we got some questions to end this one. In your body, where don't you have forgiveness? Do you have weak muscles, weak heart, these kinds of things? Where don't you have forgiveness that you need to work on? In your wealth, what's your weakness? Do you have money saved? Are you somebody, like me? I have contracts and customers. Do you have enough customers that if one goes away, you're not screwed? In your social life, do you have an intimate enough group of friends with a strong connection that you can survive some of those friends going away or changes in circumstance? Same thing with your happiness. Are you generally happy or generally not happy? And can you do something like a gratitude journal to work on that? So there we go. Step 62. Very exciting. And we'll see you very soon for the next one. Thanks. Subscribe. And go back and see the other ones. And there's some other things coming in the pipeline. Okay, thanks for now.